Up around the Tetons right now.
Hurry, drive happy, drive happy now.
For more information, call 1-800-GO-ALAMO and drive happy.
Right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
Wet weather covers much of the Northeast this afternoon, prompting flood concerns for some of you folks. Hello, I'm Mike Bono. Welcome to this edition of Weather Center.
And I'm Bill Keneally, and again, Mike, we also have rain in Texas. We'll be talking about that, you will actually. And the Northeast really taking a pounding. Case in point, that's taken out in New York City, quite a bit of rain around the Midtown area. As you see the wetness of the roadways here in Manhattan. Flood warnings, by the way, in effect now in a lot of southeastern New York and northern areas of New Jersey. Just got a report in of 2 inches of rain in Edison, New Jersey. That is in Middlesex County. That has occurred in the last 90 minutes. So please use caution. We'll show you a radar close-up from the region momentarily. Here's our big satellite picture. You can see things are moving along here in the Great Lakes area. Had a rough day yesterday, but a much quieter day today up here in Minnesota and North Dakota. This is our cold front making steady progress, we'll say, south and east. It's still very muggy. There's still some rain showers southwest of Chicago, and we're going to have to wait a while before we get the arrival of that cooler air. And believe me, there's plenty of cool air up here in Ontario. Very impressed with some of the numbers being printed out for a couple of days down the road. Not only very low humidity, but fairly low temperatures, too, can be expected over the lower lakes and the Northeast by Wednesday, we'll say. Let's take you on into the Midwest. First of all, we mentioned how a front is making some slow progress south and eastward. Ahead of it, a couple of squall lines, and with that, we've had some rain earlier in the Chicagoland area. Some more heavier showers north of Detroit, likewise southwest of Chicago. Let's take you in here now. Here's Chicagoland. Here are the storms in the Quad Cities area, running south and eastward down towards Peoria. So again, this is generally heading to the southeast. The lion's share of the rain appears to be staying south of Interstate 80. But that said, there's still a front to your northwest, so be wary in Chicago later on this evening. North of Detroit, north of Port Huron, some big storms. Likewise, north of the capital, there north of Lansing. Could pack a little bit of small hail, and with that, some briefly gusty winds at the onset. They're all heading to the east. Eventually, the drier air will come in, but probably not until tomorrow sometime for the Motor City. Want to emphasize in the Northeast, you still have a long ways to go before that delightful air gets in here. So we're going to keep the threat of rainfall this evening and probably much of the daytime on Tuesday as well. There's your front, incidentally, way back in here. So it's taking the old slow boat coming in. Ahead of it, we've had some heavy rainfall. We mentioned around the New York City area, a couple of inches at Edison. Also around Boston, out towards Bedford, reports of a couple of inches of rainfall. Likewise, I believe it was Norwood got hit pretty hard. Let's take you into New York City now, see what's going on Look at the heavy rain here in northern Ocean County, right there by the Great Adventure Park. Likewise, just north of downtown Philadelphia, right there along the eastern extension of the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Heavy rain could cause more flooding. We have flooding concerns in Montgomery and Bucks County outside of Philly. And again, a big area of the tri-state susceptible, primarily now I'd say around Ocean City or Ocean County. Take it easy on the Parkway. Down around Baltimore, some big storms between Bel Air and about the Aberdeen area. They're right along the turnpike, unfortunately. To the southeast we go. I want to show you what's happening here in Florida. Mike mentioned there's been some heavy rain in Texas, likewise in Florida. Nassau and St. Johns County and southern Sarasota County now under severe thunderstorm warnings. Now for more on the Midwest and the West, let's turn it back to Mike.
Right you are, Bill. The heat is building in a lot of the plains and parts of the Rockies, although there are some showers in there with the heat of the day, and some cooler, more stable conditions, and still a little bit of showery weather in the northwest as the southwest stays hot, except for the immediate coastline. We'll see the temperatures that are only 62 in Seattle, 70 Portland, and 62 in San Francisco. Not too warm in LA and San Diego. That ocean breeze is staying in there, and so are some of the clouds, as you'll see. Right around 100 in Las Vegas and Phoenix, and getting up toward 90 in Salt Lake City. We've got 90 in Denver. See what I mean by hot? And all these red areas are in the 90s in the plains, 88 in Pierre. It's in the mid-90s, mid to upper 90s in Kansas right now. We've got some rain, though, starting in Texas, coming on up through Victoria, Palacios, Matagorda Bay, around Matagorda Bay mostly today, but some pretty heavy rain, even some funnel clouds in Victoria County early in the day. A lot of that's surrounding the greater Houston area. Some big storms moving on up at times through Harris County and Brazoria County. And but West Texas and the Panhandle, just hot and dry, hotter as you get into Oklahoma. Look at this cloudiness just popping up in the middle of the day. The high plateau areas of northern Arizona, parts of Colorado. That's monsoonal activity here, and up here you've got a trough coming in, and yes, there is moisture and some heat, and that trough is sparking the thunderstorms, but still the moisture coming up from the south, a monsoonal pattern that happens this time of the year. Meanwhile, cooler and cloudier west of the Cascades in Washington, clouds hanging in there around the rocks where the seals hang out near San Francisco, and some fog with a little bit of cloudiness finally burning off on the coastline near Los Angeles and Malibu. But it's a hot one in most of the west, except for those areas where you have the clouds in white and the rain in green. We can see some very light rain in the Puget Sound, not quite down to Seattle most of the time. It's mostly drizzle and light rain. But streaks of cloudiness and precipitation indicating the strength of that jet stream around Great Falls, and that could give birth to some pretty heavy thunderstorms. Miles City, it's raining lightly so far. Sheridan off toward Jackson Hole. Watch out if you're
Hurry, drive happy, drive happy now.
For more information, call 1-800-GO-ALAMO and drive happy.
Right now, it's your local forecast on the Weather Channel.
wet weather covers much of the Northeast this afternoon going into the evening, prompting flood concerns for some of you. Hello, welcome to this edition of Weather Center. I'm Mike Bono.
And I'm Bill Keneally. We also have rain in Texas. Mike has more on that, I do believe.
Yes.
And we have Florida rains as well. Some heavy rain taking aim on Sarasota and Bradenton. First up, though, the Northeast, and why not into the heart of the Big Apple. Check out Midtown Manhattan. Real soggy conditions here. How about 3 inches of rainfall at LaGuardia Airport, falling roughly since noontime. There's Radio City. The music hall was very soggy today. Rainy days and Mondays and la-di-da-di-da. But hopefully things are recovering some now. In the city and westward, things are a little better, but as we'll close in on the radar momentarily, things are obviously not so good farther to the east. Tell you what we'll do. Let's take you into New York City's radar. There's the activity, as mentioned, from roughly the Palisades westward. Things are in better shape. Still a pretty good pocket of rain, but it's light rain in the Poconos. Some heavy rainfall here in the Delaware Valley, right around the city of Philadelphia. Looks like right around the airport, then extending across the northern Chesapeake, just east of the Inner Harbor. More storms southwest of Washington, out towards Warrenton and Culpeper as well. The worst of it, though, right in the city. And incidentally, Boston's had some 2 to 3 inch rains as well, south and west of town around the Norwood area. Let's take you close in around New York City and see what's going on here. In the city, we'll close in on the radar. We'll talk about the action primarily in the southern boroughs, down around Staten Island, southern Brooklyn, and also maybe clipping the Battery Park area. Real heavy rainfall. The worst of it, though, right here on the Jersey Shore. This is in Ocean County, New Jersey, and you guys in Toms River and Point Pleasant, looks like Bay Head, and now starting to head down towards Lavallette and Seaside Park, and probably getting into Island Beach State Park. There is some real heavy rainfall. Likewise, some rainfall over the Wharton State Forest. Plenty of rain in the Philadelphia Metro, too, south and west of town. So watch out here as you get south of the Pennsylvania Turnpike. This is all edging slowly to the east, northeast. Flood warnings up for about 6 counties, including some of the boroughs in Midtown and also into Queens in the city itself. So here's our bigger picture. More showers down into the Commonwealth of Virginia. Thankfully, that rain's starting to break up a little bit, but there are some heavier showers here. So travelers from Richmond up to Fredericksburg, watch out next hour on I-95. Let's head over to the Midwest now and talk about the activity and what's happening, why it's happening. A front is approaching the Chicagoland area. There's a rainfall in the Ohio Valley, by the way, some rain west of Pittsburgh, fairly heavy along I-70. But let's talk about the Midwestern current map, and there's Chicago. There are your rains in the Quad Cities down towards Peoria, right along the Illinois River. This rain is well ahead of the front. We also have some rainfall into the Michigan area. Watch out, Kalamazoo. While we're on the subject, let's show you the Detroit close-up, and you can see our rains north and west of the downtown as you get up here west of Flint and also up towards Mount Pleasant and north of the capital city of Lansing. Storms packing a pretty good wallop as they track slowly to the east at about 20 miles per hour. Let's show you the Midwestern map and see where the cooler, drier Canadian air sits at this hour. And the Midwestern map will show us that the front is still back there. It's running roughly from west of Sault Ste. Marie to a little bit south of Minneapolis. So even though the rain is not coming at you in Chicago, that's not to say we may not see a squall line develop coming across southern Wisconsin. So Milwaukee and Chicago, still do not let your guard down. This is really nice weather, however, in International Falls and Fargo. The atmosphere has really simmered down since yesterday. And this air is coming east and eventually coming across New York and New England and the lower lakes. So bear with it. Things are looking a lot better. Tomorrow's kind of like the transition day, then much better weather by Wednesday. Southland, a lot of rainfall in Florida. With that, let's show you one radar. Take it down into areas south of Tampa. And there are your heavier rainfall areas coming across. So watch out along the Tamiami Trail there, Highway 41 and I-75, Sarasota, Venice, down through Charlotte Harbor and Fort Myers, some heavy rainfall. Earlier, some real heavy rain in Jacksonville. Now the worst of it north of town, Glynn County. You folks in Brunswick, you have a severe thunderstorm warning. Everything is edging very slowly, generally northwest at about 5 or 10 miles per hour. Now for the action, which is decidedly more tranquil in the west. Let's go to Mike.
Right, Bill, and we'll take a look at that situation, which has high pressure over Colorado, but it's a dirty high, as we call it, and you're getting some showers in the Rocky Mountain State. This low is a heat low, if anything. Temperatures are approaching 100 in Kansas and parts of Nebraska. That wind coming down the slopes and getting hotter and the pressure falling. But some showers in Arizona with even some flood advisories. And on back to the north, we have that shower potential really in parts of Montana, as much of the west stays pretty dry, at least the west coast. Now, zooming on into some problem areas, we'll notice in the west that we have some rain falling in parts of the southwest and the upper Midwest. In Phoenix, you've been surrounded by showers, but in Gila County, right about here, around Globe in Miami, severe thunderstorm warning. This one could be putting down hail and possibly gusty winds. Now up to the north, in Mojave County, we had a warning before, a severe thunderstorm warning. Still some storms around Winslow that are pretty heavy. Flash flood watches, though, in much of the southeast third of Arizona. Tucson, your area, Sierra Vista, are all in the area of flash flood watch. And you can see how so much of the southwest is covered with rain right now. Even some of the national park area of southern Utah and the San Juan Mountains of southwest Colorado. For hikers, outdoorsmen, just watch out. It could be a problem, could even have some flash flooding in that area. California, though, pretty dry, hot in the desert, and a lot cooler on the coastline, as we notice that the satellite photograph showing our cloudiness just now beginning to burn off in Southern California and trying around San Francisco and Monterey Bay. So it's cooler and windy along the coast and a lot cloudier, only 66 in Seattle, 71 in Portland. But then when you get away from the Cascades and east of that front, 94 in Salt Lake City, 101 in Phoenix, and 91 in Denver. And this is even a 100-degree line in parts of eastern Kansas. So the forecast then, as we see it, shows a cool front finally giving some relief to the northeast, but not before more showers fall tonight in New England and thunderstorms come ahead of this cool front. But the heat is on in the Mid-South, the southern plains, more 100-degree threats as this cool front spells relief in some parts of the Midwest, to be sure. So watch out for more rain in South Texas, but probably not as much as you've been getting lately, as our front makes some headway by early evening. Now ahead of it again, the thunder showers, New York and Boston again, and maybe some big boomers in parts of North Dakota and on into Minnesota. Precipitation is heavy. We even have some 1-inch possibilities on down toward Maryland and certainly southern New Jersey. And those warm, sultry, and overnight temperatures, even 80 in Dallas tonight, then 100-degree weather and 90s in the middle of the country tomorrow.
And Mike, safe to say, traveling no picnic today. The Garden State Parkway, the Grand Central Parkway, two areas coming to mind.
Travel-wise next.
This program was sponsored by Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse. When it comes to home improvement, Lowe's knows.
Every day more people are choosing Lowe's, and here's why.
There's a complete hardware store inside of every Lowe's. We have more hardware than anyone.
Welcome to the Tropical Update and Storm Watch. We're going to be showing you some wet weather in the northeast and how it may impact your travels. But first, a look at the tropics and find out what's going on with the wave in the Atlantic. Here's Dr. Steve Lyons.
Well, thanks, Bob. We do have a pretty good tropical low out there in the Atlantic, and we'll get to that in just a second. We also have a tropical depression out in the Central Pacific, and I'll show you that as well. Let's start out here with a very long 2-day loop across the Atlantic Basin, and I'll show you a few things we're going to talk about. One of them is this upper level low here that's moving off to the west at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. When I say upper level, I mean this is up real high at about 30 to 40,000 feet. Not producing anything in the way of thunderstorm activity that is going to produce tropical weather. A lot of thunderstorms producing rain, but no tropical weather from the standpoint of tropical development. Surface flow is straight out of the east, and we don't expect any change from that. But this will produce some rain over the Florida area, and we'll see that a little bit closer in just a second. Gulf of Mexico still relatively quiet, although we're starting to see a little more thunderstorm activity as the surface high pressure area there has moved off up to the northeast just slightly. Caribbean is relatively quiet, although we have a wave out here I'll show you in just a second. And then the big tropical wave or tropical low we're looking at here is this one coming into the picture right here. Still a long way from the islands here, about 3 days out at least. So we've got plenty of time to monitor it, but about 3 days if it continued on its same course would it reach the islands. Well, let's start out in the Gulf of Mexico and the Caribbean and see what we've got. We have a little weak surface low pressure in the way of a trough axis right in this area right here. And that is producing some thunderstorms. No development is expected, and that trough is expected to swing slowly to the west through time with no development. Here's the upper level low. The thunderstorm activity with it is continue to diminish tonight, but as it pushes to the west, you can expect some more thunderstorm development over South Florida tomorrow. Down in the Caribbean, we have a lot of mid and high cloud, but not much in the way of low cloud at all down here, and we don't see any tropical development expected out there. Now, when we get out to the central Atlantic basin, we have a weak tropical wave here. The northern portion is here. The southern portion is here. In between, we don't see much in the way of development, but it's pushing off to the west at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. But the system that we've really been looking at is this one here, a very large surface low pressure area. You can see the circulation extends way up here in the stratiform cloud all the way down around, and the surface center somewhere right in the middle of this area right here. Now, the good thing right now is there's no deep thunderstorm development right in the center of the circulation, but there is thunderstorm all around it, and it is a big circulation, continues to move to the west at about 20 miles per hour. We'll have to keep watching this very closely. Here's a close-up view of what it looks like here tonight. You can see some of the thunderstorm activity shown here in the red and the blue area here in the circulation center right now, about right here, although that center could change rather dramatically as in the course of how this evolves in time. The overall center is what you look at in a system like this. And as I mentioned, about 3 days away from the northern Leeward Islands if it continues on the same course. We'll keep you informed. You stay tuned to the Weather Channel on that. Now, farther off to the east, you've been watching a series of tropical waves move off the coast of Africa. Here comes another one in here. Not much in the way of surface signature here, though. So we're really only looking at that one big surface low out there. So we'll keep you informed on that. Now, keep in mind that this time of the year, we're rapidly increasing in the number of tropical